Good evening, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to today's webinar on the CIAP program. On behalf of our team, I would like to extend a warm welcome to each one of you present here, to all the faculties, our distinguished guests, students, and parents. Today's session is designed to give you a clear understanding of CIAP, its global relevance, and the exciting opportunities it opens up for aspiring candidates. It gives me great pleasure and honor to welcome Sarah ma'am to the session, who is the CEO of IAB. We welcome you, Sarah ma'am. Over to you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you ever so much for attending today's session. It is a real privilege to be speaking to you today about something that I genuinely believe can shape the future of finance professionals, not just in India, but globally. And for those of you that may not know me, I'm Sarah Palmer. I am CEO of the IAB Group, and I have spent more than 20 years working across payroll, bookkeeping, accountancy, and compliance. And throughout my career, whether working with small businesses or governments, one truth has remained constant, and that is education must lead to opportunity. Not theory alone, not certificates alone, but real practical opportunity. So the IAB, also known as the Institute of Accountants and Bookkeepers, has been a trusted British professional body for more than 50 years now. We are a not-for-profit organisation, and we are known worldwide for our high standards and integrity. Our mission has always been very simple, but very powerful. And that is to raise standards in finance and to create pathways into meaningful careers. That commitment aligns with the United Nations Sustainability Goal 4, which focuses on quality education. But for me, quality education only truly matters if it translates into employment and growth. And that is exactly why we created the CIAP qualification. CIAP standing for Certified International Accounting Professional. Across the world, the outsourced accountancy service sector is expanding at extraordinary speed. And I've seen businesses in the UK, Europe, the Middle East, and beyond increasing outsourcing financial functions. India has become one of the most important hubs in this global transformation. And from the time I've spent in India, I know the talent is there, the ambition is there, and the opportunity is there. But the irony is, employers who have shared their frustrations with us have said, we can find graduates, but what we really struggle to find are graduates who are ready to perform from day one. And that distinction is critical. Having a degree is valuable. Having theoretical knowledge is important. But global employers need professionals who can work with live data, understand compliance, use accounting software confidently, communicate with international clients, and deliver accurately under pressure. They need professionals who understand the workflows, the reporting standards, the deadlines, and the responsibilities. So if I go back to the beginning, where we developed the CIAP qualification was not in the classroom. We began in the boardrooms and with the operational teams. We consulted extensively with outsourcing accounting services companies. We examined the job roles. We analysed the training costs. We listened to employers describe that gap between education and productivity. And that is why we built the Level 4 qualification designed specifically just to close that gap. The CIAP is not generic financial education. It is sector specific and it is skills focused. It is built around real world application. Over a 6-month period, learners develop practical capability alongside professional understanding. They do not just learn accounting principles, they learn how those principles operate in a globally outsourced environment. And employers value this enormously. Why? Because when they hire someone, there is a cost. There is training, there is supervision, there is risk, there is time before that person becomes commercially productive. Now, when a candidate holds an Ofqual regulated qualification like the CIAP, it sends a very powerful signal. It says this person has been assessed against international standards It says this person understands compliance and operational expectations. It says this person can contribute more quickly and with greater confidence. For employers, this reduces onboarding time. It reduces training costs, it reduces risk, and it also increases trust. For you, as students and aspiring professionals, it does something really important. It differentiates you. India's outsourcing sector is highly competitive, and there are many capable graduates. The question is not simply, are you qualified? The question is, are you job ready? And the CIAP positions you as job ready. It will strengthen your CV with global recognized credential. It demonstrates that you understand international practice. It shows that you're not just academically strong, but you are professionally capable. And especially now, in a world where automation and AI are reshaping finance, practical capability matters more than ever. Technology can process data, but professionals interpret it. Technology can automate tasks, but professionals exercise judgment. Employers are increasingly looking for individuals who can combine technical skill with professional awareness and also that communication ability. So that is the kind of professional that we are shaping through the CIAP. But beyond employability, there is something even more important. And this qualification represents mobility. It represents the ability for you to work not just locally, but globally, and to be part of international finance teams, and to support clients across countries to build careers that are resilient, adaptable, and future focused. Now, as a CEO, I'm sure you can tell, I am deeply committed to ensuring that education opens doors. I have seen firsthand how skills-based learning transforms lives. It can build confidence, it builds independence, and it builds careers that supports families and communities. India is at the centre of this global outsourcing revolution. The world is looking here for finance expertise. So my message to you today is this: match that global demand with those global standards. Invest in skills that employers will recognise. Develop capability that speaks beyond the local market, and choose education that prepares you not just to pass exams, but to perform in those real roles. The CIAP is designed with that aspiration in mind. It is not simply about achieving a certificate. It is about shaping yourself into a professional who is trusted, capable, and globally competitive. And I believe the next generation of finance leaders, some of whom I hope are listening to me right now, will be those who combine ambition with practical excellence. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your ambition and for your commitment to building your future. The global finance industry needs talented, skilled, and ethical professionals. And I look forward to seeing many of you becoming exactly that.
Thank you so much, Sarah ma'am, for that insightful overview and for clearly explaining the global value and recognition of CIAP. I hope a lot of prospective candidates have clear idea about what the placement opportunities in real world corporate experience is going to be. Thank you so much for your time and a clear explanation.
Thank you.
Now it gives me great pleasure and honor to welcome Atul Upadhyay sir, who is a VP of Pacific Group. Sir, we would like to hear from you. We would like to hear from the horse's mouth the corporate opportunities and the career opportunities offered for CIAP candidates. Over to you, sir.
Right. Thanks, Mitra. Hi, Sarah, and hello, Santosha, and hello, the wider audience. Thanks for having me. And apologies, I just got a couple of minutes late. It's weekend, and I was stuck in traffic. I just, got up and I plugged in. Uh, but it's really nice to finally, see so many faces, so many in attendance, and I'm really excited, to be attending this particular virtual meet. Of course, as I was listening very eagerly to what Sarah was saying because she was making so much of sense. And as she mentioned, right, this course is actually one of the biggest problems that we have in the outsourcing space is the readiness of the team members that we take in. Right now, when that comes, we have to spend about 3 months for somebody who is academically very strong, but who is not ready as per our internal SOPs or standards, right? So that is where we add well. I mean, we actually spend 3 to 6 months time getting them to a specific level that we desire for them, for having that kind of productivity. Now, CIAP level 4, it's again not just designed, but also vetted in the industry, by IAB. And I'm fortunate that I was a part of that journey. And there was an internal L&D calibration which happened with IAB for this course, and we actually vetted, these all things are fundamentally required in today's highly shifting dynamics. And if in case somebody is opting for CIAP, their fundamentals and a lot of other etiquette related areas are also shaping up. So I would just say we spend a lot of time. I mean, we are right now 1,600 plus strong team of accountants at group level. That covers, of course, UK as a substantial chunk, Australia, US for sure. However, as mentioned, training takes a lot of time, right? So sometimes we get a client whose requirement runs into, say 50 or 100 accountants that they need for a project. Now, of course, we have a bench, but the bench, for us to have that bench, we need, somebody who's ready to be deployed. Now, for us to have somebody to be ready to deploy, we need those cream level guys. And that's where we used to prefer initially somebody experienced from the industry, but that may not be the ideal situation and case all the time, right? So with CIAP, I guess it's actually bridging the gap between academically ready and academically sound versus employable ready, right? So somebody who we otherwise would take around 5 to 6 months of internal training with this particular course, they could be ready to be employed maybe in a span of 6 to 8 weeks max, right? And that reduces the internal burden on our L&D team. Our costs are optimized, our cost goes down, and the ready to be deployed stage is relatively higher, right? So this course actually helps into a lot of that aspect, and we have closely witnessed, and I would strongly recommend, in case you all of you in the room, if in case you're planning to have a very serious career into accounting, and especially in the international accounting space, this is one of a ready to plug in sort of a course that you will get, because that gives you an international exposure. And at the same time, Sarah mentioned one thing about international finance professionals also. So not only the outsourcing space here in India that you will always get to work, a lot of our mid to senior staff who are accountants, once they are in like 3 to 4 years in the system, and now that shift is changing to 2 years at least in the system, they are actually getting chance to go to the real market. I mean, the onshore market. Maybe if it's UK, they go to UK. A lot of our team members, they also go to Australia and US. And they work with clients in their office for longer time. So they are also supporting clients onshore with if there is a client specific requirement. So even we, the emphasis is purely on not only in offshoring outsourcing, but also a part of outsourcing that gives an onshoring sort of exposure. So that readiness is there in the course, and I would just highly recommend that you all can go with this course. And Pacific is actually involved heavily. We are one of the employment partners with CIAP. I mean IAB. We have done that collaboration, and of course we have a center in Bangalore. For the southern part of India, we have a center in Bangalore. We have a center in Hyderabad, and of course Gujarat and Mumbai. So as to speak. And it's not that you have to be in Bangalore to get employed by Pacific. We also have a lot of remote staff provision as well. So that just increases your chances to be able to be available in front of employers for getting that kind of opportunity, right? Not only from academical point of view, but also from real world employment perspective, right? So we are there to extend any support once the course is ready. We are there as a placement partners, and we could definitely look at the profiles and take that interview. And of course, because we have vetted the course, we know what quality it holds and it has in it. It'll be really nice to have people coming who have done CIP courses, from IAB and Miranda Learning. So really excited about all this. Any questions? I'll be more than happy, to take it up. But yeah, I can go on and on, but this is not. I guess this session is not for that, because I don't want you all to have a feeling that I'm just talking all good about the course. But because it is good, so I have to. But I am happy to go ahead and address any questions if any one of you has.
Thank you, Atul. Sorry, can I just add to what Atul's just been saying there as well? We've obviously had a collaboration in the past to develop this qualification, so it's been really, really rigorously tested in real world environment. But also, just to give you a little bit more background about myself. So I've had an accounting and bookkeeping practice in the UK for 18 years now called Women Who Count. And for 10 years, I have been outsourcing to India as well. So probably one of the earlier accounting practice in the UK to do that. And over that time, I've really got to understand how the process works. And I have to say, the quality of the Indian employees as such within my business has improved over that time. 10 years ago, it was very much perceived to be a back office occupation. I'd recruit a bookkeeper from India, but they would never ever communicate or be front facing with the clients. But I think what this qualification particularly does is really start educating people how to deal directly with the clients. And that makes the Indian outsourcing much more valuable to me in the UK. So the staff I have in India will communicate directly with the clients that I have in the UK. But there is very much a cultural difference in how we've both been brought up. I suppose in the UK, we're quite efficient and to the point about how we want a problem addressed. Whereas I know in India, there's often a tendency to explain and explain, which is fantastic for me as a business owner. But I don't, we just need to distill that communication. And part of that is all this learning. But this is very much what the CIAP is focused around so that we can actually, I suppose, improve the stickability and the appeal of having the outsourced market brought right into the heart and center of a business that's actually based outside of India. So I suppose what I just want to say is I've lived and breathed this world for a long time, probably not as long as Atul, but and from a different perspective. But I think the power of this qualification is that we've all contributed we've all brought something different to the table, and I really think we've thought about this qualification and what problems it solves, and so obviously I think it's it's good, but I just wanted to reinforce how much rigor has gone into the development of this qualification and how much thought, and as I said at the beginning, we didn't start in the classroom, we started in the real world and worked back. So we've thought about this qualification in a way that it will lead to employment far more than we believe some of our competitors will. So anyway, thank you. I'll be quiet.
Thank you so much, Sarah ma'am and Atul sir, for sharing valuable insights about how CIAP equips one with practical skills, real-world exposure, and career-focused learning, from being academically ready to employably ready. So I think we're open to questions now. In case you have any questions, both of them are ready to answer all your questions. Come on, shoot them.
Don't literally shoot us, but yeah, shoot your questions. Yeah.
Yes.
So before you told us about the offshore prospects of the job, right? Can you share some light about how the abroad prospects of the job will be? Can you clarify on that in that terms, the abroad prospects of job, like how the working that would be happening for someone who's aspiring to, or someone who's looking forward to work abroad?
So are we talking about the overseas market, or are we talking
Yeah,
about
yes.
It's talking about
how this translates?
overseas placement opportunities after one completes CIAP.
Okay, so the qualification is designed around being actually placed in an Indian outsourcing market opportunity, Indian outsourcing company serving external markets. However, there's still a requirement for that in particular the Middle East and sorry, Atul, would that be correct? There's wider opportunity, and the other thing is we've also positioned this qualification as a level 4, so there is further study that will lead you into further financial qualifications too. So it's quite a broad basis as well for your financial career. It's at a level where you can go directly into employment, but it also gives you the opportunity for further study if you wanted to as well. So there's still pathways and opportunity for you.
And just to add what Sarah is saying, so there are two aspects to it, right? There's a competition, there's an intense competition, but there's again a lack of proper resources in both onshore and offshore markets. So there are two ways to look at it. You do the course, you go out yourself and hunt for the onshore, or maybe you want to go UK, you want to go any other country, you can go and obviously do that virtual interview, select, and go and apply. So that's a different route. But a lot of people that we employ, if they stick around and they're doing good job, maybe if in 1 or 2 years and 3 years and above, well, you also get a hands-on expertise on how UK accounting is working, right? And that's where you get to learn, and that's where you get to know what exactly you have to exercise to be able to work onshore, because that's very important bit. And a lot of our team managers, somebody at team manager level, and everyone grows from an accountant, staff accountant level, right? Staff accountant, they go to, senior accountant, they go to ATL level, team manager level. Now, once you become a team manager, and if you're really doing good, obviously you start traveling to the onshore markets, because as mentioned, there's a lot of requirements for somebody who is technically very sound in terms of accounting fundamentals, who can actually do a lot of, who is a good communicator, and who can really understand what client is asking, right? From cultural perspective and from, the communication perspective. So we send a lot of our team managers, a lot of our, senior managers from the delivery team, in our clients' offices. They work on various projects. They're there for a couple of weeks, and it's a regular affair, right? Once a quarter, they are out in the field. They're meeting all our clients. So they become an integral part of not only the delivery, but they represent our brand in the respective geographies and target market that we are catering to. So there are two ways. One, directly go and knock the door of the companies, and if you're really capable enough, of course, you get it directly. And one route is through outsourcing, starting your career with an outsourcing journey, understand the market dynamics, work on, the files, process, know things, know the areas of improvement and your strengths, assess, and then go.
And if I take that a little bit further in looking for employment in the UK as well, there's different requirements for accountants when they're operating independently in the UK. And that is that they have to have a membership with a professional body that will provide them with what's called an AML supervision license, which is anti-money laundering. Now, that's unique to the UK. Now, but what's important, what the link is the qualification. This particular qualification will allow you into membership with a professional body, such as the IB. And once you're a member, then you make the application for that anti-money laundering supervision license. Now, you are not allowed to offer financial services to the UK, or the general public in the UK without that supervision. So again, this qualification will allow you to apply for that. You can't just apply for the AML supervision without the qualification prior to that. And as part of this course as well, you will automatically be allowed into membership with the IAB in the UK if you did wish to travel over here.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. That clears about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Arpit, for your question.
Hello, sir. Could you please tell me what kind of job roles are currently available for CIAP candidates like us within your organization?
Good question, Amita. Quite a relevant one, right? To the point. So I mean, every month, right now we are onboarding at a pace of hiring at least 80 to 100 accountants on a monthly basis, and sometimes our drives across India runs into a 200 or a 300 accountants that we onboard, right? Because of the various clients' project and requirements, and we are growing and really growing quite exponentially over the last 1.5 years, right? So of course, then there are various levels when we hire. Of course, we need somebody at staff accountant, senior staff accountant, which is directly connecting with the CIAP course, because you are the main executor when you do this course. Of course, academically you're sound, you take this course, you get the dynamics, and you do this. Of course, it adds weightage to your resume. So even when our HR is doing that internal screening and hiring, they give preference that what, apart from your vanilla academic courses, which is very critical and that's like a base, have you done, right? So obviously, when they see something like CIAP course and those related course, we know that your resume holds that value. And then obviously we receive, for us to hire two to 300 numbers, we actually get around thousands of applications, right? At least 800 to 900 plus applications, 1,000 plus applications. So there is a screening that happens, right? So your profile automatically gets screened up, and it goes to the personal interview, and that's when it all starts. So it adds a lot of value from a resume standpoint. From you getting a table with the recruitment team of the company, and of course whatever you've done, I'm sure you're good at it, and then you clear the interview rounds, and once you land up a job with Pacific or somebody like us, you start from a staff accountant level, depending on what prior experience if you have. But if you don't have a prior experience, you start at staff accounting level. There will be, of course, a small training, not an as exhaustive as 3 months or 6 months training, because you've already done CIAP, so that saves our time. So you're there for about 8 weeks of training. Now that training is again not entirely focusing on the fundamentals of accounting, but it's just to integrate you with whatever process requirements we have internally. We do that, and at the same time you're actually start to shadow the work of the accountants on the floor. How the work is happening, how the comms are happening, etc. You get used to it, and then you are immediately hitting the production floor, and you're assigned to a specific client, and you start working under that client, right? So the relevance is relatively higher because this course is built for an immediate employment opportunity. Not you do this course and you then top it up with something else, you top it up with something else. Well, it's always good, but this has to produce results, and I guess this course is offering you a great level of exposure in this space, because outsourcing is a way forward. There is a talent shortage in the markets like UK, in the markets like Australia, in the markets like US. But there's a talent shortage, and we are actually adding a lot of value there, and bridging the gap. So I guess that answers your questions. And if in case you want to know what kind of packages or salary, that the course starts, that is just for the benefit of everyone. I would like to say, so something which is somebody who is just at the fresher and the start level, right? Somebody who's just starting from the base level, right? I cannot be very specific, but the range starts from around 40,000 plus, per month, and then plus, whatever it could be. But it starts with that kind of salary. And of course, then you build your career. Then as you grow, as you become senior, obviously there are a lot of job enrichment and job upliftment, and of course, the salary remuneration revision keeps happening.
Okay,
Because
thank
I
you.
know that. No worries, because I know this is one of the important questions that everybody would have in mind. I'm investing so much in CIAP. What is the direct proportionate salary? What kind of packages we are talking about? So very realistically, at the base level is something which I've mentioned. So 40 to 50K, that's what we start off with.
And Afa, would you also say that there's an ability for someone who's done the CIP to fast track?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. So that differentiates you from the crowd, right? Because uh, this course is in a way very unique, and this course has just started, and we've actually started getting along, and we are actually waiting for first batch to hit, and we hire some people, right? So we're employment partners as well. So obviously there's a lot of weightage, not only when you're hired, but obviously how you perform on the floor, and basis on the strong background you hold. So that all adds up to your salary increment, or whenever the review happens, the performance review happens, it all adds up.
How strong is your intuition, Atul sir? You seem to have answered all the questions that were in line one after the other. So, the questions, you've already answered all the questions they'd, put in the chat. One was regarding the salary, the CTC, and the next was how their growth would be in the career ladder once they complete CIAP certification. So,
I'm glad.
yes, sir. Thank you for that. So, in case, we have any more questions?
Hello, Adil sir and Sarah ma'am. This is Arun, one of the senior faculty. I'm handling some of the papers of CIP here. Nice to see you again on the virtual platform.
Yeah,
So
I
I
know.
have, yes, we have an interview last time, right?
Yes, you did.
Yes, exactly. So Adil sir, this is the second time we are on the meeting. So very happy to see you again. So
Likewise, Arun.
yes, first of all, I want to say a great happiness that so first time I'm always seeing that an employer offering a greater amount of salary as for a startup, that is especially for a fresher. So that actually great for our students and all other faculty because we can encourage our students. So this is what is the offering we are directly getting. And moreover, I'm handling the financial reporting paper here. So the IFRS that is getting more important. So my question is, so what all added qualification we can take up along with this program? So how it can be take up with the CIP program? So can you please take a step about the IFRS and its importance and relevance regarding the practical scenario?
The IFRS, I think, is a really interesting space for us as accountants. It was actually, I came to the World Accounting Forum back in 2022, I think, and this was one of the hot topics being discussed then. But what I thought was really interesting was how IFRS is leveling the playing field and making it more transparent for businesses to report some actually of their sustainability aspects of their business as well. So for us as accountants, I thought this was a really unique positioning because actually what it means is that accountants can start leading the way in sustainability and we can really get involved in that conversation. And it's not something that you would traditionally think that an accountant, could be part of, but we really have an opportunity to start shaping the world and pushing businesses to think about their report, how they report and how they think about their sustainability activities within it. So I know that's a slightly different question rather than the qualification itself, but I think the qualification leads us into this whole world, and I think that's very much a growing aspect of what global businesses are looking for. So there's very much a growing demand, but I think it's a really interesting space too. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And just to add one thing from my end, right? So, well, it's an interesting shift that I'm witnessing, and I know Sarah would definitely agree to this because I've seen over the last 1 decade the dimensions of accounting changing rapidly. Right now, accounting is no longer an accounting that it was maybe 1.5 decades or a decade ago. Sarah is in practice since last 18 years. She has seen it all. The international dynamics. I mean, the business owners now accountant is just not somebody with with a balance sheet telling what is credit, what is debit, and what those things are, but it's more of advisory thing. Advisory is becoming the mainline business and accounting is becoming a byproduct of that business. But yes, it is the stepping stone for you to get into advisory side because every practice owners or every large accounting practice, right, they're actually advising clients. How are they able to do it? By having all the fundamentals in place, having strong processes in place. Somebody asked some time back a question about onshore working and how can somebody work. So a lot of our internal team members that we hire, right, so they understand the entire 360-degree trenches of accounting, wherever they are adding value, how the client's files are looking at, what are the dynamics that clients are actually looking at, and what is very important, whether it's AML, IFRS, and any other concept, you get a practical exposure. You're learning it while you're still making good money for yourself, and you're adding those years into your experience bucket. And that's how you start growing, right? And add real value in not only in the client's mind, but also, the organization that you're working with. So it's all interlinked. And as Sarah mentioned, like it's an ecosystem. Every thing blends in and integrates within itself quite well. So it's all very relevant.
And sorry, we're going to go back and forward. Another point to add here too is I've just written a blog this week following. We have a coffee morning in the UK. We have I don't know, about 300 or 400 of our members will join. But what was really interesting and a topic we discussed was how in the UK we've got employment figures or unemployment figures that are rising in the general UK economy. But what's really interesting is actually that's not affecting the bookkeeping and accounting sector. We've actually got growth in this particular industry. And as Atul said, my business has been around for too long now. But so I've seen some of these financial, times when the economy has had a downturn. But when the economy has had a downturn, it's actually resulted in growth in my business. Because what I'm seeing is businesses tend to, in general, the small businesses, they tend to cut the costs, and cutting costs is also cutting employers or within their current businesses. But what they then look to do is outsource their financial function. And so I've got an independent, bookkeeping practice, so an accounting practice, and those businesses will outsource to us so that they can just, they can have a defined amount of hours rather than having somebody full time. But when hundreds of businesses are doing this, it means that it's really driving growth in the sector here. So it's slightly counterintuitive, but that's what I'm experiencing in my business. And I suppose with the members in the UK, this is also what we're experiencing too. So while there's bad news as big headlines across the world at the minute, I think it isn't a blanket response. There's definitely pockets of industries that are doing well, and our industry is definitely one of them.
Yeah. Good evening, ma'am. Sarah, ma'am. Santosh here. Good evening, Atul sir.
Hello, Santosh sir. Good evening.
Good to see you.
Actually, I have two questions for you. The first question is, what are the most common skill gaps you observe in a fresh candidate today?
That's for me.
Yes, sir.
Look, I'll be honest, right? So it's basically communication is one of the biggest barriers, right? That I see, because obviously whoever we hire, they're all academically they're accountants and they come from that relevant background. So communication is the biggest sort of thing. When I say communication, it's just not English, right? So it's basically there are various levels of communication which is needed, because you're directly dealing and engaging clients. When we deploy any accountants, they're just not doing the back end work and somebody else is reviewing and somebody else is communicating, but they're actually communicating with clients as well. So we actually put a lot of importance on communication bit, and of course the recent trends in the market, right? When it comes to accounting, what are the latest rules and regulations? So that's where we may have something in our academics which is like about an year or 2 years ago, but that doesn't covers what is there in the market right now. Right. So that is something, one of the, again, a big gap that comes. And that's why initially we were very, very reluctant to hire somebody at a fresher level. We at least needed 2 to 3 years in it, because it just adds up to our internal training time too much, right? Getting them up to the speed when it comes to the recent happenings, what is happening in the industry, what are the new regulations, what are the updates from HMRC, just talking about UK in particular. So those are two very prominent gap that we see. The recent happenings, what is the real time recent thing which is happening in the accounting thing, what are the updates, etc. And B, of course, communication aspect of it.
Okay, sir. So communication is the major gap you are identifying these days with the candidates. My second question is actually connected to the first only. What actually differentiates a selected candidate from a rejected one, especially during this regarding these accounting roles?
That's a good one again, Santosh. So what happens is, look, we believe, and I've seen this in my career and the teams that we've added, right? Because I've seen multiple business and grown them. What is most important? Of course, skill is very important, because that is like that makes you productive from day one, right? So that is like the very first thing that has to be there. As an employer, we are okay to hire somebody who is 18 on 20 when it comes to skill, right? Because skills can still be imported, right? I don't expect everyone all, because we are talking hundreds in numbers. We are not talking one or two or five. We are talking hundreds of accountants that we hire every month. So that is one. But what we are not okay is the will, the will to do it. How are you psychologically aligned, right? Are you looking at the smaller picture, bigger picture? Are you able to take those feedbacks constructively, or you just get shaken up if the constructive feedback is given, right? So what we want is psychologically and ethically strong set of individuals, because if they are psychologically very strong and if they are here to make careers with us, we are completely hands down to support them in their career and growth journey, right? Because we are in an industry wherein the employee turnover rate is relatively very higher. That runs in a scary figures of 20-25%, in an outsourcing space, which is a big number. We cannot completely make it zero, but yes, I'm happy to tell you that as far as specific group is concerned, we are amongst the lowest in the industry. Wherein we are in single digit, we are just around 9.8 or something. Our labor turnover ratio, and in few quarters it is less than 5%, right? So how can we achieve, or how are we able to achieve it? Is just by having a very structured sort of places for our employees, for their mental growth, for their physical growth, for their efficiency growth. We have, every once in 15 days, we have Fun Friday activity. We have a lot of sports and cultural events. We have a lot of FNA every fortnight, Q&A sort of a thing. I'm sorry. So any updates that comes out from HMRC, we actually do that training, mock trainings, etc. on the floor. So I guess to answer your questions and sum it up is basically willing to grow, willing to learn, versus just purely skill. Because nobody, I mean, when I started my career, I knew nothing, right? It's just in the journey I've learned, just because I was very focused and I wanted to make a name for myself. So that is very important for us as employers.
There's one question about how work-life balance is at Pacific Group.
Good question again. Again, and I'll not be singing a song of "We are the best" or "We are," we not nobody beats us. No. So we are an evolving culture setup, right? So we are evolving quite rapidly. We are a young setup. I mean, we are about 19 years into existence now. But yes, over the last 5 to 6 years, the growth has been tremendous for us. We have grown multiple times, and over the last 5 years, I guess we have added about 1,000 plus employees more over the last 5 years. I mean, and before 2020, I'm sorry, we were just around 5 to 700. We were hovering about that. We are right now 1,600. And with the current pace that we are going in next 2 years, we'll be crossing around 3,000 mark, right? So we are in journey of making something really big. As I mentioned about employee turnover, right? So why do we have to have that work-life balance? Uh, is again that goes back to the very concept of employee turnover. We want to have our employees, sticking around with us for a longer time, so that A, career wise they are growing. B, we have a stable employees who are working. So we don't have to again reshuffle our accountants on one specific client. So every month we have fun activities. Every Friday we have fun activities on the floor. Any festival that comes in.
Oh, Athel's frozen.
Yes, I think he's lost the connection. We'll just wait.
Possibly. Just picking up on his point there. I know Atul, I've worked with some of his staff. The company's very good at publish. Sorry, Atul, you froze. I just
Yeah, no problem. Sorry.
about festivals. That was all. I said it's from the UK perspective. We always have at the beginning of the year a published list of your holidays, and actually it works really well for the UK because so I suppose our biggest time off would be around Christmas, whereas yours would be Diwali. So there's what's great is the two teams, the UK team or the outsourced team for me, tend to have time off at different times. So it's not, it's from a business perspective, we're always really happy to incorporate those days off, and it works incredibly well. It's just the note, but that's a different perspective.
And it's right, and a lot of outsourcing firms, right? Just to address that question from leave perspective, they actually map clients' holidays and not Indian holidays. But the way we operate is we are very clear in communicating this to our clients that we don't take maybe if it's UK, we don't take UK off. I mean, your team is working with them while they are still on holiday, especially during the Christmas period, as Sarah mentioned. So that what that gives or does for clients, or it gives them a better peace of mind while they're still away, while they're still on break or a holiday, their work is actually getting done. uh, Benefits to our employees, we have Indian holiday calendar, and because we have 7 to 8 locations across India, multiple locations. So our Mumbai centers would have also off during Ganesh Chaturthi, because Ganesh Chaturthi is very big in Mumbai, right? So we actually don't let them work during that period. I mean, it's an off, especially for our folks in South. We have Onam, as basically an off for them. So it's also regional bifurcation wherever that team member belongs to, so that there's an Indian holiday in spite of you having that global exposure. You are given that Indian holiday. There's a 5-day working for everyone, whether it's a staff accountant, whether it's a CEO of the company. It's a 5-day working rule for all. I know a lot of account outsourcing practices. I mean, they don't do it. I mean, they have an alternate Saturday still working. We don't do that. And of course, there is a career growth. There's an internal IJP as well. Maybe there is a staff accountant that we have who would like to, who have just had a calling after 2 years that they want to shift to a different vertical. Maybe, from a general accounting, they want to move to payroll. From a payroll, they want to move to something into administration. They can do that internal IJPs. We have internal IJPs that we roll over. So there is a lot that we do. There's a CSR activities that we do, and our employees are the drivers, right? There's the sports cultural activities that we do across the year, and then we have our L&D team. It comprises of more than 10 people in our L&D who designs courses and who are aligning everything. So there's a lot that happens for the mental and physical well-being and career well-being of our staff. So obviously, considering in mind the work-life balance, we actually, whenever there is a low period, we actually emphasize and encourage our staff to go on, holidays, not maybe 5 working days and beyond, because then it starts to impact business. But yeah, we actually advocate and tell them, you take consistent breaks in between so that they are more productive. We don't want to, have them burning hours and hours, because if they do that, no matter if they're working, but they'll be less productive. We don't want them to be less productive, right? So that's how we these are a few steps by which obviously we maintain the work-life balance. Well, I can go on, but considering time constraints, I'm just a little concise here.
No,
Yeah.
you've very clearly explained how well balanced work life is at Pacific. There's a question from a travel freak connected with the global exposure. Somebody who's very keen on traveling is asking about the traveling opportunities and the opportunities to travel across countries once they get placed. Are there options?
These kind of questions, I mean, even when I started my career journey, I wanted to, just visit places. I mean, just not for pleasure, but for work. But, just to cut the long story short, while it's good to have, the point is you have that option of on-site work, visiting clients, meeting clients, whoever is the existing clients, you go and meet them. But everything happens, with time element, right? Because there's, for the first 2 years when you join a setup, well, you're just settling down in the company and you're just getting to know their culture better. If I tell you that we send someone at somebody who has just started their careers in 2 years, I'll be lying, and I don't want to lie. Obviously, first 2 to 3 years is your settling time in an organization when you start your career, of course. And gradually, with the kind of work that you produce, with the kind of value that you bring on table, your efforts are noticed. You are noticed as a person. You're doing good in your team. That's when your career growth happens, and that's when you start growing, and that international trips and travel comes into play. For that, you have to invest that kind of time and energy, and in the process, build the process, mature with the process, and then you start going. And once you start going, there is never looking back, right? It's a regular affair.
Yeah, it's the same principle, whatever industry you're in, isn't it? You have to work hard at the beginning, and then you get to our level, Aslan, we can work on a Saturday as well.
True.
The last The last question from my end, just to, just as part of the placement team, I see a lot of candidates switching jobs soon after they complete a year. So if, we could hear from the horse's mouth again, what duration it takes to complete and learn well enough to take the next jump, that would be really insightful.
Good question, Mitra. I would say there's no simple thumb rule here, depending on what my preference and what my choice is. If I'm after those minimal 15, 20, 25% hike, and and if I don't want to spend a lot of time with one organization, there's nothing wrong or right here. It's just, that's the way I've decided for myself. But what will happen is, if you really want to grow after two switches, the third employer will start questioning you for your jump. Why are you hopping too much? Why is there a hop in 1.5 years? Why? Meaning, because anybody who sees your resume, and if he sees that there is three switches in the last 4 years, meaning there is something really wrong with you, or there's something miserably wrong that has happened, that the company has done wrong with you. So there's only two bits of it, right? So for you, if you really want to make a good career, you need to spend some time. Not every day will be a rosy day for you, but that's okay. We have our own ups and downs, right? But you learn from it, you evolve. And that's why, some time back, I mentioned one thing. uh, Somebody with strong ethics, somebody with strong mindset is something, is somebody that we look at, because we have bunch of pool of members who are academically sound, and they prove that, they actually tell us that, okay, I've done this, I've done that. But it's only when they start working that we realize, what is therein, right? So you need to spend some time. I know initially when we are not very serious about the careers, and we are very, we have that question mark. And money is very important for everyone, I'm not denying. But if you get something, an existing organization who is giving you a growth at 10%, just hypothetically speaking, and an outsider organization who is maybe offering you 20%, maybe 10% more, you're looking at the smaller 10% increase, but you're giving up a long run race. You're giving up on that marathon, because even to the new place, when you go, when you start, you will again have to spend the same amount of time. So you will have to stick around, grow, learn, and then grow in a process with time.
That's really sound advice. And if I put my employer hat on, I couldn't agree with you more. And if I'm looking to employ, I would look for consistency and longevity. And every time I would hire someone, I would be quite rigorous in that process, because I want the relationship to be a long-term relationship. I don't think I've ever hired thinking, I only want somebody who's around for, a year. You're always looking for a much, much longer term.
Correct.
And I think, yeah, so I suppose at the beginning of a career, I probably didn't appreciate that as much as I do now,
Correct.
switch positions if I'm employing rather than looking for the job. So yeah, no, very sound advice.
Thank you so much. So, just to summarize, the thumb rule still holds good, right? People are hired for attitude and trained for skills. So that's something that is still valued when people are hired, right?
Oh, yes, of course. Of course, yes.
That's a thumb rule that still holds good.
It will always, I mean, it's like this is something which will never change, no matter what comes in, no matter AI hoopla which is around, no matter, but you hired for the person that you are, given the fact that, the functional knowledge is very essential. But yes, broadly, how you are and how do you shape up, that is a maker or breaker for you.
Santosh, sir, are you?
Yes, I have one more question. Actually, it is in connection with your previous answer. So when I asked what differentiate between the selected and the rejected candidates, your answer was in addition to the skills like communication and other skills. In your answer, you was mentioning that they should be willing to grow, they should be willing to learn. So in relation to that, I want to ask one more question, sir. Is it okay?
Yeah, please, all yours.
Yes. So within the first 6 months or 1 year of joining, what performance indicators do you evaluate in a junior level?
Okay, good question. Now, I'll tell you in broad sense, right? Because I cannot get into the depth and be very specific here, because again, accounting that we have. So when we do compliance or when we hire people, so one is the bookkeeping, general accounting element. We hire tax accountants, we hire statutory auditors, and we hire, administrators as well, right? Depending on who we hire, they have their clearly defined, KRAs and SLAs with their reporting line manager, right? Functionally, and behavior wise and adherence and discipline. So there is a parameter sheet, and it's not that you don't know the rule of the game before you start playing. You should know every rule of the game if in case you want to excel it, right? So that sound calibration is done with every member with their respective manager. They do it, and there is a check-in every quarter, right, which is kept. Okay, if we have set a goal as 100 in a quarter, you've done good. You are right now at 40%. There is a 60% journey that we still have to cover. So there are those regular check-ins that keeps happening on a month-to-month, quarter-on-quarter basis, so that towards the end of 12 months completion, you don't get a surprise in a negative way that, okay, mere ko to ye malum hi nahi tha. Sorry, sir, I'm just using those Hindi slang. So they know the game. They know the game. They know the rules, and it is synchronized in that manner. Now, depending on what level and what function, what process you're hired for, you would know. And one of the important parameters that we keep on the functional side is also the number of errors that you've done. And we further classified the errors into learning curve error, negligence, or something which is repeated, right? Now, doing an error is okay. We're all humans. We do it. I mean, I do 10 errors a day, but not that doesn't saves me from saying, I chalta hai, it's okay. It's all right. So the point is, if I'm doing an error, it is actually tagged under me, whether it was a negligence, whether it was a learning curve, because learning curve is maximum 3 to 6 months, right? For any accountant that comes and starts to work. Thereafter, I mean, you're there in the system, you know it. What is crime for us, or what is zero tolerance for us, is repeated errors, right? So that is something that comes as a big flyer, and of course their parameters are set. So every month, every quarter, whenever the check-in happens with the team manager, that particular member of the team knows where exactly they are falling short, where exactly they have to pull in more energy to ensure that they meet 100% of their KPIs and KRAs, and then they can get and expect really good ratings towards the end of the financial year, or once their review is pending.
It's also just to say, it isn't just internal reviews. You actually ask the employers as well, or who you engage with, for their feedback too, and you produce those stats. So there's feedback, really granular feedback the whole way through.
Correct.
So do we have time to take a couple of questions more?
I'm fine for a little bit longer.
Just couple of questions more, if you're okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Do we need tools like Oracle or SAP? That's a question that has come. About the tools like Oracle or SAP. Would that add value to AP certification?
Well, Sarah can, obviously build on that, but from an employer perspective, knowing few tools, the basic fundamentals is okay. It's obviously an added benefit, but when we hire people, we give them a basic information on and a basic training on all the leading softwares which is available in the UK market, because there are two kinds of businesses that we cater in, right? So we actually fine tune them. And then it's a process, right? Some clients, I mean, they're using Oracle, they're using SAP, but there are also some clients, especially in the accounting community, right? Something, if like Sarah has her own practice and she's serving the direct clients. So she may directly use SAP or Oracle, and she may use internally some other software to obviously to get fine tune their files like Xero or QuickBooks, and free agent, etc. There are a lot of softwares which is available in the UK, sort of fraternity. So knowing a software is important, but it is not a game changer, because if you have the willingness to learn, there are free modules available. You can do your R&D, and then there is a internal training calibration which is done. You can learn. There's always a new software that comes out every quarter, every second quarter. and we provide training to all our staff for that. But yeah, knowing few softwares is always an added advantage.
Yeah, it is. But I think using the software, it doesn't excuse understanding the fundamentals of the accounting. I think if you understand the I think where it falls down with a lot of business owners who listen to software's marketing, you think all you had to do was pay a subscription, and if by magic your accounts are done, and that's not true. So it's if you understand what you're trying to achieve, you can use many of the softwares out there. So from my perspective, it's more around understanding what you're trying to achieve, and the software is a tool for you to achieve that, rather than getting too nuanced with each software.
Thank you, ma'am. I think with that we should wind up the session.
Excuse me, I wouldn't want to take more of your time, but there's one other question that I would want to ask you, which is, after passing the exam, when can we expect to start our work?
Once qualified, how long before you work?
Yeah.
It is up to the individual as such, but we, as the IB, will definitely support you by partnering with the likes of ATTENDEES Pacific for you to be able to approach them for employment.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sarah ma'am, for sharing that CIAP is not just a certification. It is a gateway to global standards, international exposure, and career growth. And for also sharing an insightful overview and for clearly explaining the global value and recognition of CIAP. Thank you so much, Atul sir, for sparing your valuable time in spite of your busy schedule and highlighting the practical dimension of this program and how it bridges the gap between learning and industry expectations, and for sharing your valuable insights on building competencies that make you industry ready. I'm sure, as we come to the end of today's seminar, we are all, better off and have a clearer understanding of what CIAP offers and how it can shape our personal journey, our professional journey. Thank you so much. I wish you all a great evening ahead. Thank you so much. It was
Likewise.
really
Thanks for
great
having me.
having you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you all.
Thank you so much. Good
Thank
night.
you, Sarah, ma'am. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.